Welcome back to part 5 of chapter 9, Eurasia, where we are talking about economic and social development. So the region has really been changing rapidly. Since the collapse of the Soviet Union, the economy has fluctuated greatly. Energy has the potential here, as well as strategic. It also poses a lot of strategic challenges for Russia. There's economic potential for the Russian domain, but this is very difficult to gauge whether it could be successful or a detriment. Now, when we take a look at post-Soviet economy, the Soviet leaders had introduced centralized economic planning. And much of that domain's basic infrastructure really originated during the Soviet era, and there are disparities between regions that are developed and regions that are not developed throughout Russia. Now, the post-Soviet economy, there have been fundamental changes. We do see a mixed economy of state-run operations and private enterprises post-Soviet economy. But we have higher oil and natural gas prices, which in turn have helped the Russian economy. Now, when in looking at their economic ties, there are close economic ties with Belarus and Ukraine. There are also agreements with Moldova and Armenia, economic agreements with Moldova and Armenia, and then other agreements with Georgia looking west. Georgia actually is looking towards the west and not towards Russia. However, a lot of these economic agreements have been terminated, with the exception of Belarus, since the Russian-Ukrainian war. When we look at privatization and state control, there was economic uncertainty up until since 1991, and we do have rapid privatization of agricultural areas and of the service sectors. Natural resources and heavy industry initially privatized, but there are state-run enterprises that have been reasserting themselves. There is a success of new economy, which is visible on the landscape with luxury malls and large office buildings being built. And we also have the establishment of international business centers, such as the Sokolov village, which is Russia's Silicon Valley. Now, we continue to have corruption in the region. The corruption really remains widespread under the leadership of Vladimir Putin. And the Russian mafia also has global ties, so they are throughout the world. We also have economic challenges within the region where local economic impacts are really highly selective. Those areas that are close to oil and gas industries are doing well because of the dependence on oil and gas. However, recently there have been put sanctions on the oil and gas from Russia, but those are slow to turn around. Capitalism has brought selective benefits. Many areas are very less competitive and less productive than other areas. And those areas that are not as competitive are also not benefiting from the capitalism. Now, when we take a look at Eurasia's position in the global economy, this includes a lot of changes as well. There is a mixed economy of state-run operations and private enterprises interacting with the global ecore. We do have higher oil and gas prices that have helped Russia's economy. But again, in more recent times, we do have a lot of sanctions that have been put on Russia, again, in a response to the Russian-Ukrainian war. So there are symbols of global capitalism that are prevalent throughout Russia as well. And when we look at Russia's petroleum economy, Russia's oil and gas industry really remains one of the strongest economic links between Russia and the global economy. And that is why that was really the leverage that the global community has upon Russia as well. And but Russia also has Western countries quite dependent upon their oil and gas. There are plans for expansion and refashioning geographies of oil exports. And then also there's state-controlled Russian companies that are playing an increased role in these in the oil and gas industry. In terms of foreign investment, we do have continued strong foreign investment despite political uncertainties with the United States, with Japan, and with Western Europe. However, there are other foreign investments elsewhere throughout the world that may vary. More certainly, there have been sanctions associated with Crimea in an overall low energy prices that has a downward trend. Now, while Russian trade possibilities are increasing, they are in the more recent recent history, they have reduced due to the Ukrainian-Russian war. And there is less potential now for social investment. We do, in terms of social changes and social progress here in the region, we do see a lot of healthcare issues and alcoholism. Russia is the highest, it has the highest percentage of alcohol consumption rates in the world. And so healthcare and alcoholism remain major social problems here. Also of concern is the higher mortality rate for middle-aged men. When we take a look at gender and culture and politics of it, women typically are higher educated in this region, but they receive a lot less in wages. There's also a large amount of violence against women that is widespread throughout the region, which could be linked to the high level of alcoholism as well. We also see a lot of human trafficking as a major problem, specifically with sex tourism and human trafficking in the sex industry. And this sex tourism is actually on the rise and increasing here in Russia, along with human trafficking. So we don't see a whole lot of social progress in this region, which is of concern. Okay, so that finishes up our Chapter 9 Eurasia lecture, recorded lecture on Part 5.